All right, so my name is Halima. I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a speaker, I'm a career coach. I like helping young people develop the confidence and the ability to build successful careers around them, their purpose and their passions, so they can create impact, influence, and wealth. I am convener of a program, Time Out with Halima, where I help young entrepreneurs, career people, professionals particularly, also develop mastery and just help them to position themselves as the best of the best in their chosen career so they can be at the top. I always tell young people, you have no business being in any career if you don't have the ambition to be on top. I'm also right now essay on strategic communications to the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. That's by way of introduction. So going to my story, and the particular part of my story I want to share with you is a couple of years back. My husband traveled. We were living in Jos, and we had decided to move to Abuja. The car developed a fault from Abuja to Jos, and then it was this long process of trying to get somebody to fix it and all that. And then, of course, we were communicating, okay, how far is this? And then at a point we were not getting, as it is, being on the road and how networks are. So when it was like 11 p.m., I think I now called because like for maybe 2 hours before then the line was open. So I now called and the phone was answered. So I was very happy that at last, where are you? And then suddenly I realized that the voice on the other side was somebody else, a different voice, and a man, and he said, the owner of this phone has been involved in an accident. And as he said that, I was like, trying to process that when I heard another voice at the background say, just tell them he's dead. So that was how I got to know that my husband had been killed in a motor accident. And so we got to the hospital, and then as I drove into the hospital, I saw the police van outside the hospital. There were policemen, nurses, people were just standing quietly, looking, and all that, And then that was when so I parked the car, and then that's when it dawned on me that maybe I shouldn't have come out with my children because I didn't know what to expect. So I came out of the car and I told them stay in the car. The security man had followed me, I think so, but because he was trying to stop me, and he said he didn't think I should drive. As at then none of the children could drive, so I went. And I told them to say that walk from the car to that police van felt like there were stones tied on my every step I took was so heavy. And as I was approaching, I just saw my husband's head at the back of the van, and then of course I realized that the children actually followed me. So that was when I tried to cry, and people, and as I was driving in, my brother-in-law too was driving in, church people too were driving in. So by then there were people, it just became this whatever. And then there were other corpses, there were other people that had been killed in the motor accident. I didn't even really take note, really. I think my mind, I was just in a state of shock because even the children later that were telling me. And so that was how that day was 31st of March 2012. And that's how, like I say, my life as I knew it then ended. And that was when the concept of a new normal, started for me. But I say in it all, God helped me, and people stood by me. So my mom was a pillar. My mom literally really was living with me almost. She would come in and she would go back, then she would come spend a couple of months, and that really helped me because she now was able to help me manage the home. And then she would, even when she would travel back home, every morning she would call me. She would either pray with me, share a scripture or read. If she's reading something, she will read. And I had some of my husband's friends were really nice, so many people were gifting us with money. Immediately somebody came up and said, because I was second term going to third term, one of my husband's friends just came and cleared the school fees and said, okay, these children, what is the school fees or whatever. There was one of his friends actually, because my first daughter was in SS3 then, and then she was just, in fact, she had just written JAM the week before. The Saturday after she wrote JAM, they were supposed to start WAEC the week after. They gave them 1 week off, so he died that Saturday. She was supposed to actually go to school, and we just decided, he said we should wait until he comes back, then we'll take her to school on Sunday. But then he died that Saturday night, and so she got admission that same year. And then there was this one of my husband's friends. For the 4 years she was in school, we used to send her pocket money every month. That's amazing, and there were people like that from time to time would just reach out and be nice. And of course, there were also those that right from the time when people were coming to the house that would be saying things like, hey, it was because we're not prayerful, it was because I was not praying, it was because of this, it's because you didn't do like this, so you find the good and the bad. And I know when I wrote the book, one of the things I said is that, when things happen, if you don't know what to say, just keep quiet. Because you hurt people deeper. A lot of us in Nigeria, we tend to say things without sensitivity, being sensitive to the person that is in grief, or we tend to judge. And we're not God. In fact, I used to say that, I said some people are God, like they're deputy God, because they know everything, because they just come and they're just saying things, and I just term it as ignorance. Anyway, but at the end of the day, I had to take a hold of my own journey myself, and I told myself that I don't do too much pain to waste it. I saw people go out of their way to love on us, to be there for us, to pray for us, when all I could do was, even if I tried to pray, was to say, God help me, through tears and through the pain and the trauma and just the disbelief and the grief, and I just knew that I couldn't continue that way, because if I did, I told myself I didn't think I was going to survive if I keep going, because literally there were times I would feel my heart physically as if it's just going to burst out of me, just out of disbelief, out of pain, in Hausa they call sorrow bakin chiki. Bakin chiki, literal translation means black inside, bakin chiki, but it means sorrow, but literally translated. But I understood that word. I said, whoever came up with that meaning really understood. It must have been somebody that had done, because it was just like total darkness. It was just like you're groping around in a tunnel and trying to find light. Reading books. I joined, and I now discovered online. There's this lady that had a group for widows. She's an American pastor's wife. Widow. Her husband was a pastor, and then she just, after she lost her husband, came up with this. She called it Life Boot. So I joined, and then this woman was really nice, and she would exchange emails, she would share with me, and then just being in that community, of people, because you find that even when you go to church, sometimes even being in church was difficult for me, because usually it would be my husband preaching. Now I was in Abuja, so I would go to a different job, but it was so difficult. Just sometimes going to church was like so traumatic. I would come to sit through the service and not just cry from beginning to end of the service was like, it was difficult. Sometimes I remember one day like that, I just managed to hold. Immediately I entered the house, I just started crying. I was crying and crying. I now called one of my zonal pastor's wife, and I was just crying. I wanted to talk, and I just started crying. And then she said, what is it? What is it? She was so, okay, I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming up. She left just the following day. She was in Abuja. What is it? What happened? I don't know, these things just come over you, And so some people were like, what happened? So sometimes you just have that, but of course, for me, again, one thing that is a major issue is the issue of in-laws. My in-laws were good people. They never harassed me for anything. They never came saying, and I'm in contact with them till now. We talk, if there's anything, my father-in-law was alive then, when we lost him, I was at the funeral and all that. So we keep in touch, which is a great blessing, because for many people, the families just come after them, and which is so unfortunate. And that is one thing I think we should stop. That is one thing we should stop, and people should learn to. When a man, nobody controls life. If there are women that kill their husband, there will be few, because that's the education in some cultures and in some places. Once a man dies, it's a woman, and this is a woman that is grieving already. And I just think that thing is just a lie people come up with so they can get the possessions and the property of the man, deny the wife, deny the children. I see my husband was very open with me too. Everything he had was in our joint names. Everything. There was nothing he had, and where it was in his name, I was his next of kin. Because the truth is that in building a life and building, you also contribute whatever it is. The two of you build a life together, and then the man is not here, and that's why men also should be careful. Men should be wise. Some men are foolish. I'm sorry to use that word, because I don't understand how you have a wife, you have children. You hear men saying that the next of kin will be their child. I remember one time some insurance people came to do one whatever, and I was telling some of my young colleagues then, men, they were saying that the baby boy is like 1 year, baby small boy is next of kin. I said that child cannot be next of kin until maybe they're 18. And also this insurance woman came and told us the same. They said if you put that child as next of kin, that whatever is your own will remain until that child is 18. So and I said, God forbid if anything happens to you, and your wife cannot afford school fees, then you have money that you went because you're so mean. This is a woman you married, you share everything with her, but it is money that, or when you're now dead. I have sent my children to school single-handedly. If ever I needed help at any time, it is maybe from my mom or my brother or some, but there's nobody that will come and tell me they came and paid school fees for my children. And a lot of it was because what my husband had, I had access to it. So I was able to still continue to give these children the life that they want. So when men make that mistake of saying, it is one their brother, and we see more cases of brothers taking property and not looking after the family. The widow, they will use the money and send their children to good school. You felt you're wise, you have brother, and you denied your wife, your children will become house girl and house boy in that person's house. Because there's no woman, even if she marries again, she will take care of those children. There's no mother that will. So the best person you can leave your children to is their mother. And I think I've found purpose. I think I've been able to find joy. I'm happy, been able to raise my children. I've been able to rise in my career. I've been able to do what I also love doing. So life has gone on. It was tragic. It was you. Sometimes some of those things stay with you, really, because you can't forget. You can't forget. No matter what happens, you can't forget. Sometimes we talk. Oh, Daddy, there was a time you can't. When you talk like that, it's with tears. Now we can even talk and remember things and just laugh. I remember when this happened. And time actually heals, but then in that process, don't just let yourself, because I see widows that are so bitter, and sometimes because of the way they've been treated. But you need to learn to forgive people. People would accuse you of so many things and do things to you. There was a girl that was staying in our BQ, then we were staying around in Chabi, and I now, so many other people were increasing their rents in the BQ, and then I now told her, I said, please, I need to increase this money. She wasn't even my tenant. When we moved in, the person that gave her the place, her rent was still on, so we allowed her to stay, and then she renewed, and then again. So some of my people were like, now you're the only one, we have to be smart, you need all the money you can get. So I now gave her a few months. This girl refused to do this thing, and I told her, see, please, I lost my husband. She was there when all these things happened. She now told me that, are you the first person? Are you the only person that you are the first person that I was? Young girl that was maybe just slightly older than my own children. Are you the only person? Are you the first person that I read? That's why I'll be saying that I'm very wicked. God will judge me. God, what? I gave you time. you don't want to come out of my house. Then I now told my husband's friend that is a lawyer, I said, write her and tell her to start with. I don't have a contract with her. I only allowed her to stay. She didn't pay me. I think she had paid the first one, and it wasn't me that collected it, you understand? So ideally, the person is even supposed to have given me money, or she should have given me money for her rent. So you're staying in my BQ, and then you don't want to pay, and all that. But then, so those are just to say the kind of things that people will treat you, people will judge you, people will say all kind of things to you, but you don't let what people say define who you are. You don't. So, and I think I've come a long way, and life can only get better.